modules will assess your students' baseline performance level. And then based on those answers, the second modules adapt their difficulty to your students' skill level. That means that if they did well on the first module, the second module will have harder questions in order to get a higher score. The adaptive test is able to calculate an accurate score with fewer questions. That's why there's only 98 questions, because the questions adapt to your skill level. Remember, the digital SAT is also a standardized test based on a curve. So if it is easy for most students, you have less room for error in order to get a high score. So the curve is a lot harsher. So it's not an easy test. You still have to study for it. Does that make sense? Because the curve is definitely more harsh on the digital SAT because there's fewer questions. And so you really have very little room for error on the new digital SAT versus the old SAT. Does that make sense to everyone? Everyone now understands the digital SAT. It's important. Test scores. Is that clear to everyone? Type a yes in the chat if so. All right. I'm seeing lots of yeses. So now let's give you guys a few strategies related to digital SAT for some different sections. We'll start off with the digital SAT writing section. We'll go over 5 phrases that are always incorrect, okay, on digital SAT writing or grammar questions. So I call these phrases the kiss of death on digital SAT writing or grammar questions. This is something that I created and I've noticed over time, over the past 15, 20 years of working with the SAT. These phrases and words are always going to be incorrect on grammar questions, all right? And so let me go through the first one. The first kiss of death phrase is the word being, right? And so the word is being is always, if you see the word being on a grammar question on the digital SAT, as well as the ACT, the PSAT, this works for, lots of different standardized tests, then you know that answer choice is going to be incorrect. The next phrase is why or is because, all right? And so the next phrase is there is or there are. The next phrase is it is. And the last phrase is the word very. So don't worry, you guys will get emailed these slides after today's webinar. I saw some people asking, is it recorded? It's not recorded, but you'll get the slides. I am answering questions, but after the presentation here. So save your questions for the end of today's presentation here on this Sunday, February 23rd. I'm not going to get into why these words and phrases are always incorrect, but it has to do with active voice and passive voice. These phrases usually create passive voice, and the SAT, ACT, PSAT prefer active voice. The larger discussion. But for now, just know that these words and phrases are always incorrect. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. Here's a grammar-based question that you would encounter on the digital SAT writing section.